Explain the key principles and practical consideration in designing OD interventions. How you design an OD intervention. The key principles of OD intervention and practical consideration are intended to improve organizational functioning, address pressing problems, or anticipate future changes and ensure organizational health and sustainability. While we design an OD or interventions with the three major criteria for selecting interventions, such includes fit for the needs of the organization, degree to which it is based on casual knowledge of intended outcomes, and extent to which it transfers change management competence to organization members. How can technostructural intervention create a holistic impact in Filipino organization? Cite one example. As technostructural intervention focus on improving the organizational effectiveness and human performance by focusing on technology and structure, technostructural intervention changes have a holistic effect on the Filipino organization, shifting the organization's total work from more traditional ways of dividing it to more flexible and integrative ways. For example, in the Philippines, technostructural interventions included organization and job redesigns, as well process improvement reform. It has declared early success from the application of its new business model, despite the fact that changes have not yet been fully implemented. The organization's impact in the competitive markets where it competes is constantly rising, thanks to a revived organizational cohesion.
Explain how OD diagnosis mirrors action research.
Action research model is the standard process used in organization change. Through action research, the OD practitioners begins to understand the systems in which she or he is involved, and the client groups begins to take responsibility for the systems in which they live. Action research was thus conceptualized to provide a platforms where members of the group can participate and comment to the changes process. Is the difference between diagnostic and dialogic approach. Diagnostic approach focuses on the alignment of specific variables in the organization and its environment, while dialogic approach puts more emphasis on what people think and how the members of organization create and negotiate the reality. This approach assumes that the organizational realities are defined by people's perceptions and interactions. Diagnostic approach looks for the problems that need solutions, while dialogic approach focuses on opportunity for growth as perceived by the clients and stakeholders.
So, good day, I'm Kristen Carres Bacalso Alangalan, and today I'm going to answer the question, which is how do you transform an organization, and give an example. So, organizational change examples include going from brick and mortar to e-commerce completely, rebuilding the website, launching a new department, or switching from a silo structure to a matrix. Many examples of change in the workplace fall in between these two poles, the incremental and gradual. So, incremental marketing is a gradual increase in advertising expenditures and product exposures over a period of time, based on the benchmarks. So, the next question is, explain the culture building process and give example. So, culture building process describes how buildings throughout the ages and varied settings or products are building. So, culture is the coordinated system of knowledge, rules and procedures, and habit that surrounds the building process in a given place and time. A culture building activity is an exercise that members of an organization take part, like a game, ever or event or other shared experience. And the culture process comprises all the procedures throughout which people transforms the world as it is into a world of our own. This includes all group-specific norms and rules, values and ideas, information and knowledge as presented, exchanged, appropriated, altered, and create anew in the process of communication. That's all. Thank you.
What differentiates the human resource management function from HRM interventions?
The difference of human resource management function from HRM interventions is that HRM function provide guidelines to the manpower of the organization that serves as a purpose that is intended for the person or for the organization. Thus, it focuses mainly on the performance management, developing talent, wellness, and diversity interventions. While on the other hand, HRM interventions is the supporting factor which operates on the premise that employee development and well-being can lead to increased organizational performance.
What are the cultural realities that must be considered when conducting the mentioned interventions in the Philippines?
The cultural realities that must be considered when conducting the mentioned interventions in the Philippines are their cultural values, norms, expectancies, and attitudes. These differences predicate the notion that in order to be effective, community interventions need to take into considerations.
And sustainability in organizational development. How can leaders affect the sustainability efforts of an organization? Leaders has a great impact of sustainability efforts of an organization in a way that they will motivate employees that will lead in continuous learning opportunities where they will work together in an organization and indicates employees' beliefs in our organization's commitment to sustainability by implicating leadership practices. The concept of the use of self in organizational development practice. The use of self describes that each practitioner brings with them their own style of organizational development practice, including their values, capabilities, and experiences. Which means that while there is awareness on the part of the practitioner that even the slightest interaction with any part of the system can set in motion some form of change, it is often difficult to crystallize the precise meaning of use of self. By taking into consideration the conceptualization of self is the another way to develop an understanding of the way an individual interacts with the organization system. And also the use of self requires one to understand the meaning of self and internal and external dynamics that define the way an individual acts in an organization.
The first question is, give an example of transactional leader.
One example of transactional leadership is coaches of athletic teams. These leaders motivate their followers by promoting the reward of winning the game, and they instill such a high level of commitment that their followers are willing to risk pain and injury to obtain the result that the leader is asking for.
The second question is, give an example of transformational leader.
There are many examples of transformational leadership, not just in corporate or business world, but also in education, that educators, from teachers and administrators to counselors and coaches that motivate each other to improve and innovate within their classrooms, and encourages others to find ways to grow and change. It helps educators find solutions to conflict within their educational organization.
And lastly, if you were to choose, what type will you use in your own organization, and explain?
If I were to choose between the two, I would choose and use the transformational type of leadership because it would be better for the organization to have the ideas of the employees towards what is better future of the organization, and also make employees boost their confidence and build connection towards me as their leader, enable for them to be comfortable and be motivated to do tasks at their very best. And that would be very good thing for the organization to grow strong and meet success.